What's going on, y'all? This is the Face Mask Podcast, bringing you new fantasy football content on YouTube daily. If you haven't subscribed already, hit that subscribe button. My name is John Alsace, and today I want to talk about Damien Harris. I know I just did a backfield breakdown on the New England Patriots, but a new report just came out earlier this week from ESPN's Mike Rice, and in this report, he says that he sees Damien Harris as the Patriots' #1 running back, and I quote, "It's pretty decisive." Now, if we remember back to last year, Harris received all of the hype coming out of camp after not really touching the ball at all in his rookie season. Were it not for him needing surgery to repair an injured pinky, Harris would have been the week 1 starter. Instead, Harris missed the first 3 games, Sony Michel started those 3 games, and he came in week 4. From week 4 to week 13, Harris commanded 43% of New England's rushing attempts. Then he missed the last 3 weeks of the season due to an ankle injury. But in the 10 games that he started, he totaled 743 yards and 2 touchdowns on 137 carries and 2 receptions, and in that span he was the RB18. He averaged just 9.1 points per game, in PPR that is, and finished with 81 fantasy points. And really, if you really look into it, he was only a top 24 running back in 30% of his contests. If you give him the benefit of the doubt of staying healthy with a whole 16-game season, his extrapolated numbers would have been 1,188 yards and 3.2 touchdowns. That would have given him 156.8 fantasy points, which would have put him at RB15 last year. By comparison, that's exactly pretty much what Ronald Jones got last season. But really, Damien Harris is kind of the anti-LeGarrette Blount. He's all yards, no touchdowns. And why is that? It's because of Cam Newton. Cam Newton and Damien Harris finished 2020 with 137 carries. So just based off that, he's getting his projected workload as a running back 1 for a team cut in half. But to compound on that, Newton more than doubled up on Harris's red zone rushes. Newton had 42 red zone rushes compared to Harris, who only had 19. Newton capitalized on that. He had 12 rushing touchdowns. Harris did not. He only had 2 rushing touchdowns. To add insult to injury, Newton also saw 32 rushes inside the 10-yard line and 19 inside the 5-yard line. Nick and I have often talked about rushing quarterbacks that create goal line opportunities for running backs versus rushing quarterbacks that vulture opportunities for running backs. Newton is the archetype and the prototype for rushing QBs that vulture TDs from RBs. It's a lot of acronyms. So it goes without saying that Mac Jones winning the Patriots starting QB job would be an absolute plus for Damien Harris. Now, the Athletic's Jeff Howe in May said Harris and Sony Michel would be a solid 1-2 combo in the New England backfield. They still got Sony Michel there. They just drafted rookie Ramondre Stevenson, who has so far impressed with his running and pass catching skills in OTA and minicamp. And they still have James White, who will obviously remain the team's pass catching specialist. He concluded 2020 as the RB48. He had 8.1 points per game with 49 receptions for 375 yards, 121 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns in 14 games. Harris saw 2 receptions, so Harris will get no receiving work. He may be quote-unquote the RB1 in this offense, but that role only netted him 43% of all Patriots rushes last season when he was healthy, and he will be splitting the work with Newton, Michel, White, and Stevenson. So if he plays with Cam, I'm completely off him. He's all yards, minimal TDs, and I'd be predicting around an RB25 to RB30 finish. But if he plays with Jones for the year, and by all accounts, Jones is lighting it up in camp and benefited greatly so far from Newton dealing with injuries early on in the OTA minicamp process. All those red zone touches that went to Cam would go to Harris, combined with the fact that this offense upgraded in a major way in terms of talent at tight end and to a lesser extent wide receiver, but I still think they upgraded at wide receiver. If Jones is at the helm of this offense, coming week 1, I predict a high-end running back 2 finish for Harris around RB13 to RB16. I do believe that is his ceiling in the offense with the current competition around him, as this organization, this GM, this coach, they have historically kept one more back than seemingly necessary over the years, and everybody's saying they're going to cut Sony, but it's not going to save him any on a cap, and he averaged 5.7 yards per carry just last season, so I don't expect that to happen. He's going to stick around like Rex Burkhead stuck around last season, but even so, I like Harris's talent, and I do believe this team will move to Jones sooner than later, which opens up the door for red zone work for Harris. A top 20 finish is in the cards for Harris by year's end. What do you think? Do you think I'm too high on Damien Harris? Do you think this is an absolute redshirt year for Jones? Do you think Cam Newton's going to come in and vulture everything? Put your thoughts in the comment section below. This is the Face Mask Podcast. My name is John Alsace. Thank you for listening.